I started seeing myself in a different way, someone who wasn't small, someone who's done playing small, someone who was able to make more money than I'd ever had in my life in a certain month, giving me the confidence and changing my viewpoint on myself and being like, okay, so now that I see myself differently, I see myself as a more independent, self-sufficient woman, which led me to eventually start a new life.
How long did it take you to get your first deal under contract?
Probably like 4 days.
Then
Yeah.
how much money did you make in your first month?
$13,000, just with rentals, 4 times the amount of money that I've ever made in a 9 to 5. Once you work with a renter, it's really like killing two birds with one stone. Like you're making like money now and you're also building those relationships at the same time. Whereas before I felt like I was doing everything right. I was door knocking, I was doing the cold calls, blah, 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 but I was building relationships, but not making money. If I can do it and have pretty much my life crumbling down around me, then anyone else can do it. Seriously.
You have the most powerful story that I've ever heard in real estate. You are in a failing marriage. You were controlled by your husband. You had to rely on him for all of your money needs. You signed up for my system. Within your first month, you closed 7 rentals, $13,000 in commission. You closed 1 buyer, totaling $21,000 in 1 month. I want you to tell everybody your story.
So when I first started in real estate, I'd been in it a little bit less than a year and I was hustling. I was doing open houses, going to all the meetings, doing everything that I was advised to do, everything I knew in my power to do. However, I wasn't getting anywhere, and I'm not so much the slow and steady type. I'm the fast and let's make our money. Let's make it now. Let's go, go, go type. So when I found your program, I knew it was the perfect program for me. But what made me start real estate in general is the fact that I'd become completely reliant on someone else, my ex-husband. Hindsight's 2020, but if I could do it differently, I would, but it's all a part of my story now. But he was not only my employer, but he was my sole provider. And when things started going downhill, I looked at myself and I was like, you know what? Like your family, like your dad always raised you, never rely on anyone else for anything. And I never really understood why until things started taking a turn for the worse. And when they did, I took it upon myself to start my real estate career, make my own money. And then when that wasn't working out, found your program. And that was truly the saving grace.
Yeah, I mean, when you texted me that, I hadn't heard anything like that before. Like I had interviewed Evelyn. That was your friend.
That's who introduced me to it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and her story, was crazy as well. She had 5 kids. Her husband left her, stopped paying child support. But when I heard your story, I was like, wow. Like honestly, when I read that to my wife, I was like, she left her husband. This gave her the ability to make her own money. So she didn't have to rely on another person anymore. Honestly, that choked me up. I remember getting very emotional that day because that's what I set out to do. I set out to help people to change lives. And, I just want to talk about that a little bit because in your first month, can you just talk about really quick the ability that, me teaching you how to do the rentals? Can you talk about all the deals you did, how much did you make on every deal? Just break that down really fast.
I think you'd kind of like this. It's kind of funny. My first deal was actually a Section 8 deal. But other than that, so I did 7 rental deals my first month and I literally like hit the ground running. I think within the first day of like buying your program, I already had like maybe 10, 15 listings up. You're like, just put 5. And I'm like, no, like I gotta get out of here. I gotta do this. I gotta be my independent woman self and step into that. But it was work, but it was well worth it and work that I wanted to do because I didn't have to clock in anywhere. I didn't have to report to anyone but my clients. I had the freedom to work as hard as I want, as fast as I want, or as little as I want, and take a couple days off here and there. But I truly hit the ground running and I didn't take no for an answer. I did everything pretty much to a T that you said. I always charge the $300 fee unless someone like threw a fit about it or cried tears. And I was like, okay, fine. But other than that, I followed everything to a T and it works. The only thing is like, you have to like believe it's going to work and you have to like put forth the effort that even you say in your program it's going to take. Like, you're not just going to like join this program and it's not just going to like be like pixie dust. Like you actually have to do it and implement it and have a one track mindset.
Now, those 7 deals that you did, we briefly talked about it before. How much average commission did you make on these deals? And I know you had mentioned you were making a lot on like some of them. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I mean, right out of the gate, I had one that was like 4,500 a month rent. My average is about 1,850 a deal.
So then
Yeah.
how much money on the rentals, before all the splits, did you make in your first month?
$13,000, just with rentals, 4 times the amount of money that I've ever made in a 9 to 5 my entire life. So it not only changed my bank account, but it changed the way I viewed myself and what I'm capable of, therefore giving me the confidence to be able to finally step out on my own.
That confidence that you got to step out on your own, how did your husband take that? Or your ex-husband?
Not well, hence why it's taken us so long to do this interview. I don't completely know the motive behind why he never wanted me to interview with you about my success. I will never know, but maybe because it put me in a spotlight and gave me the power to realize that like, not only can I do better, but I deserve better and I'm capable of doing things on my own. Like all of us are. Everyone's capable of doing it. You just have to believe that you can and take the focus off of external validation and external resources and put it back on yourself.
How did it make you feel to stop relying on somebody else?
Am I allowed to say profanities?
Yeah,
it made me feel like I'm done taking shit. Like, because whenever you give your power away to someone else, whenever you're totally reliant on someone else, and I never thought I'd be the kind of woman that would allow myself to get in this situation, but that's a story for another day. But when you put your power in someone else's hands, you make decisions more so out of fear, more so out of, okay, well, if I piss him off, like what repercussions are going to come? But when you're making your own money, like I was finally making my own money, it's like I spoke my truth. I just stepped into like a fuller, like more authentic and powerful version of myself. And I was like, listen, like I've had it. I'm done. And that's what that does when you finally take the power back into your own hands.
When you took the power back into your own hands, what's the first thing that you did?
Envisioned a new life for myself, one where I wasn't held back anymore by anyone's standards, or it was the energy I felt from him, like pulling on me, like, don't do this, blah, blah, blah. And I think the reason he truly didn't want me to interview is because he just didn't want me to like outshine him, to be honest, because he was the business owner. He made more money than me. He was my employer. I mean, ego. But I mean, I'm free. Like I literally do whatever I want. I'm in a relationship with a great man who's also a business owner. I just feel like myself, like truly making your own money is everything. I started envisioning a new life because I started seeing myself in a different way. Someone who wasn't small, someone who's done playing small, someone who was able to make more money than I'd ever had in my life in a certain month, giving me the confidence and changing my viewpoint on myself and being like, okay, so now that I see myself differently, I see myself as a more independent, self-sufficient woman. I started envisioning that kind of life for myself, which led me to eventually make the tough decision to leave my comfort zone, leave him, leave all that behind and start a new life of independence.
That must have been really tough. And you having the confidence in yourself to, get out of a bad situation. A lot of people, they don't have that. If you had to give a piece of advice for somebody else in a similar situation, what would you say?
I would say, first of all, I'm very spiritual. So I would say the transformation starts from within. Once you fully identify what you want for yourself, where you've been holding yourself back, where you've been giving your power away to others, where you've been playing small, then you can identify what changes need to be made. So I would say start within, get a vision for yourself clearly about who you are, who you want to be, and where you want to head. And then the opportunities that are going to get you from point A to point B will present themselves. And fortunately for me, once I went in and did the internal work, the opportunity that I felt like was so divinely guided for me was Rich with Rentals. So the avenue will present itself and it's going to look differently for everybody. If you're in real estate, I say this is the way to go. Obviously, like it's fast, it works. You just have to put in the work, but that's my advice. Start within, envision where you want to go, trust the process, an avenue will open up, but you just have to trust.
So do you still believe, that rentals in this market, 2025 right now, do you still think that rentals are the way to go for even a struggling agent or a new agent?
100%. Because, renters, they have to move. We all have to move. They have to move. It's the way to go. It's a great way to build like your book of business, a way to build a strong foundation. I'd already been in real estate about a little less than a year before I started, and I had a little bit of a book of business, but there are people who weren't set on buying just yet. So I would 100% say this is the way to go. Get your foot in the door, get in the game. If you're a hard worker and you're driven, then it will work for you.
You mentioned you were in real estate for a year before, you switched over to rentals and joined my program. So what were you trying before and why don't you think it worked?
I think that for me personally and my personality, the slower long-term game is necessarily as motivating for me right out of the gate. I like to move fast. I like instant results. I think maybe a lot of people are like that. And that's why many realtors don't really make it past the first year of business. And that's about where I was at. So, I felt like I was doing everything right. I was door knocking. I was doing the cold calls, blah, blah, blah. But there's so many realtors out there. So once you work with a renter, you build that relationship with them right out of the gate, and they're more likely to use you later on. So it's really like killing two birds with one stone. Like you're making like money now and you're also building those relationships at the same time. Whereas before I was building relationships, but not making money.
That's what I think is the biggest issue in real estate. And you're right. Yeah, I think it's something like 70% of agents don't make it past their first year. And within the first 3 years, 90% fail out of real estate, which is really rough considering that those were old statistics. Like nowadays, I think it's even worse because, we have less buyers and sellers than ever before. Like, well, at least less pending home sales than ever before. It's a really tough market. And you said it best. Everybody needs a place to rent, no matter where they're at in life. I don't care if you're a doctor, right, or a lawyer. You might move to a new state and you're not going to buy a house. Day one, you want to feel the area out. So always look towards the renters if you're in real estate, if you want to make quick cash. You did it in 1 month. You made $13,000 in 1 month. And that was more than you had made in your entire real estate career combined. And all you didn't spend any more time, right? Like you were spending the same time doing this, correct?
Yeah. Just managing my time more efficiently and actually doing processes that I knew were going to pay off for me.
Which is the craziest part because two people can be in the same area. Because I'm sure there's a lot of agents, because you're in South Florida. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but you're in South Florida and there are a lot of agents in South Florida and they're spending the same time as you, but they're not getting any results. And I truly firmly believe it's because they're going after the wrong clientele. They're going after the buyers. They're going after the sellers. And everybody forgets about the renters. So that's why I even started this to begin with, to help agents. I always say do real estate the right way. It goes renter, buyer, seller. If you skip the first stage, you're basically saying, I don't care about money. Like, let me struggle and suffer, for a year, 2 years until some money finally starts coming in. There's another path. And you took that path. And I remember when you joined and, you texted me about closing 4 deals in your first week or two. Can you talk about just your first week?
My first, oh my gosh, it was wild because whenever you start something new, you of course have to get adjusted and accustomed to it. So I went from, of course, spending a lot of time in real estate to actually, because I hadn't written a contract before. I hadn't closed any deals. So it's because I found success so quickly with your program, I felt like I had a crash course in real estate. I had a year of real estate knowledge I had to learn in a week, contracts and showings. And I remember I didn't even have Supra before your program. So I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get super. So it's like I got a crash course in it. And while it was so crazy, it was so fun and so exhilarating because I was like, all this work, like I know is going to lead to the end goal, which is some money in the bank. So, and
That's
future clients.
That's right. So even I'm curious, even because I don't remember, how long did it take you to get your first deal under contract? Not even closed, just under contract from when you signed up.
Probably like 4 days.
Wow. How much was the commission on that deal?
That one was a little bit lower. That my very first deal was Section 8, but their contract was her voucher with Section 8 was literally going to expire the very next day. So I was able to find her a place. And I literally remember driving her physical paperwork to the Section 8 office before 4 p.m. to make sure she didn't lose her voucher. And that deal was, I believe, it was a $2,800 a month rental. We're paying plus the $300 fee, so about $1,700 on that deal within like 4 days.
Wow. And you saved her from being homeless.
100%. So it was very gratifying as well.
That's similar to the first deal that I closed. It was like December of 2019. It was a family of five, a husband and a wife, and they didn't speak the best English ever. And they had 3 children. I remember trying to find them a place. This is before, I even knew what the heck I was doing. I was creating all of this. And I was looking for a property for them for a month. And I just, their credit was low. The income wasn't great. And I couldn't get them into a place. I didn't really know what I was doing. But on Christmas Eve, I found them a property. The kids they were screaming, running around, jumping up and down. Mommy, Daddy, we got a home. I'll never forget this. The mom had tears in her eyes. The husband gave me a big handshake. And I was like, that's it. This is my calling. I'm going to do this, forever. It's crazy too. I only made $800. That's before I even knew about, coming up with transaction fees. I didn't know anything back then. I made $800. I put a month's effort into this. I closed that deal. But what you just said, it was the most fulfilling feeling I had ever had in my professional career. It really was. And I was hooked from then on. And now it's so cool hearing you say that, where it took me a month. I probably did 15 showings. I made $800 in your first 4 days. You did what? One showing, and you got a contract for $1,700 in commission in 4 days. How much time did you even spend on that?
I did a little search on affordablehousing.com, found the place, a landlord that was willing to take them right then and there, and it was done.
What, like an hour of your time?
Or less, yeah. I mean, I had to drive a little bit because South Florida. I had to drive down to Dania, but yeah, it was like from that moment on, it was done. So that's like the beautiful thing about working with Section 8 and renters in general. It's like they have to move. They don't have a choice. And I mean, I can speak from experience too because I've rented. We don't have a choice. So
you don't have the same kind of problems and issues that you run into with the buyers, because you did tell me you had a buyer as well in your first month. So I know that's how you got up to $21,000 in your first month for the buyer you got. So how does it compare? Because I know you've only done, not that many buyers and more rentals. How do you think it compares having a buyer to a renter?
I would say I did put forth a lot more effort into that one deal with my buyers. They're very selective. They had money, they paid cash. So they were very selective. And I probably did about 35 showings with them over a course of a couple months just to get 8,000 commission on that, I think was what it was. So yeah. Whereas with my average rental deal, probably at the most 4 or 5 showings for a renter. Yeah.
4 or 5 showings compared to 35 showings. And even the time difference, like you just said, less than an hour on your first deal. I'm guessing your average was probably 2 or 3 hours, per renter, something like that.
Yeah, probably. And then I would try to schedule their showings, knock all of the properties they wanted to see out, like work with one person in the morning, knock out their showings, one person in the afternoon, knock out their showings, and then 2 deals hopefully done. So
you basically did 7 rentals in the same time and effort than one house sale. Is that fair to say?
100%. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's like I've been saying this for, a couple of years now, ever since I got on YouTube and started making videos. And it's just so cool to see other agents actually like doing this. Like seriously, like it gets me really emotional seeing this. I thought I had found like a secret, years ago when I started doing rentals. I was like, I cannot believe nobody else is doing this. Nobody's talking about this. And I'm like, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, why? Like, why is nobody doing this? And I would talk to some agents, even like when I was doing, 250 deals a year. Some of these listing agents would look me up in the MLS and they'd be like, oh my God, you have closed 30 deals this month. Are you a madman? What is this? Like they had never seen anything like it. And they were like, how are you doing this? I thought rentals were a waste of time. My brokers, my mentors, my team leaders, everybody told me, don't work with renters. You're not going to make any money. You're going to drive around, they're not going to be loyal to you. And what would you say to that?
I would say that it's the best use of your time in the world because, like, what else are you doing? You're chasing business that's going to come in the future anyways. Get your business now while also planning for the future.
Killing two birds with one stone. Yeah, you're building a pipeline. You're making money. You're helping families. You're feeling fulfilled. I personally, I cannot think of another strategy in real estate today that is better. I don't even think there's anything even remotely close to this. Mm-hmm. If you had to give advice to a brand new real estate agent right now today, what would you tell them to do?
Just get started. Just get started. Well, obviously join this program because like if you're a realtor, you obviously feel like you're good at sales, hopefully, unless you're completely delusional, but you obviously know you're good at sales. You know, you're driven, you believe in yourself to have potential. So why not join a program that like supports that and hit the ground running? Because that's all we hope for, as realtors, like that's what we dream for. We're a little delusional. We're like, we're going to be millionaires and we're going to make so much money, blah, blah, blah. You're probably not, unless you join a program that has like an actual outline and steps to follow and a proven strategy that's worked over and over again. Because the fact that you've had proven results like yourself and Evelyn and so many other people on your YouTube that you've interviewed, it gave me the confidence in the program to know that if I just followed the steps, it was going to work for me too. And I know I like to move faster than most people do. So I was like, if so-and-so made this much, I know I can double that.
You did. I mean, awesome. I mean, $21,000 in your first 30 days. Like that is, I don't know if before I interviewed Sterling, I just interviewed Sterling. I don't know if you've met him yet. He closed 23 deals in his first month, which is just, I don't even know how he did that. Honestly, like that blew me away. It took me over 2 years to close 23 deals in a month. And he did it in 30 days from when he joined. So, like I would say you probably have the second record right now, at this point with the amount of money you made, 21,000. Yeah, I think he did something like 33 or something, but 21,000, that's like phenomenal. This is the crazy part. He had been doing rentals for 2.5 years. Oh. He was only focusing on rentals for 2.5 years. So you were focusing on open houses and door knocking and mailers and FSBO calls. You didn't even know about rentals. So your first month, for you to make $21,000 in 1 month with zero experience, honestly, that might be better, right? Like if you think about it, that might actually, that's more to me. I think that's more impressive. That's more impressive to me, considering that you're in a relationship where you felt suffocated and trapped and you had all of that weight and pressure on your shoulders, but you still managed to help 8 families and find a way to separate yourself from that bad situation, all in 30 days.
That's the power of taking your power back and putting your mind to something, finding an avenue, a program that works for you and implementing it and executing. You said the weight of the world on my shoulders. I think that if I hadn't have had all that pressure of my personal life on there, I think I could have been right up there with the 21, but carrying that around with me while still completely learning a new program, writing my first 4 contracts in the first week for the first time, it was a lot. So if I can do it and have pretty much my life crumbling down around me, then anyone else can do it. Seriously.
I am changing my statement that you are this is the most impressive. This is the most impressive.
No, 24 is the most impressive.
No. With all things considered and everything, that was something truly incredible. And, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your story. Before we hop off, is there anything else that you want to add?
I would say don't sell yourself short. If you have the desire to join something like this, to join Rich with Rentals, whatever avenue, like that desire is placed on your heart for a reason because it's going to work for you. So don't second guess it. Just go with it. Jump in head first. Go all in. Don't give up. You'll see the results.
If you're afraid to take a risk, you'll never get rich. I live by that saying. I live by that saying. I love it. Brianna, where can people find you?
My Instagram is @_Brianna Sledge.
I'm going to drop this in the description. And again, thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Andy.